this is the Georgetown-Scott County Revenue Commission meeting for May 28th, 2025. This is a regularly scheduled meeting. I'll call the roll. We have Mayor Jenkins present, Joe Pat Covington is present, and Dwayne Ellison is serving as a proxy for Superintendent Billy Parker. We have a quorum, and let the record reflect that we do have a quorum and we can conduct business. With that said, the first item for approval or consideration is the minutes from the last meeting on 4/23/25. Are there any questions related to those minutes as presented? We have a motion. I'll second it because I've reviewed it. Any other comments or questions, and would there be a motion to approve?
So moved.
So we have a motion, I'm sorry, and I have a second. With all that said, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Cola Springs Seminar 2025 report.
Yes, just wanted to give you a brief, again, thank you for allowing us all to go and close the office for the day. A lot of good, information there. The yellow highlighted, presentation was the one we gave to all the members of our State Tax Association on tax relief, all of our voluntary disclosures, debt settlements, penalty waivers, things of that nature. It was very well received. John did a great job putting it together. Phil and I were also there on the panel talking about it, answering questions. It was very well received, and people, I think, appreciated it greatly. So we were glad to participate. And again, this is something that doesn't cost us anything. It's free for us to go every year, and we always like to take advantage of it. So we appreciate you all, and I always brag on our Revenue Commission for allowing us to do that, for everybody to go and take advantage. We had a little bit of everything, some legislative. Of course, we talked about the centralized collection a lot, cybersecurity, our tax relief, and then also some, finding hidden revenue, which is something we're always looking for. It was all in all a very good day.
I would be curious to, like what was the top item that, that you could bring back here and look for, revenue that it's kind of something that we need to chase.
We've already got, what was the one that you've already, was it realtors or?
Realtors.
Well, there's a couple
And,
things.
and I know it's just an area that needs to be addressed.
And then there's a report that we can get through the Secretary of State that we'd be able to scrub and get all the local businesses that are registered with the state.
Newly registered.
Yes, newly
and then
registered.
cross-reference.
Exactly, yes. And then we'd be able to receive that report actually as frequently as we wanted, up to, I believe, daily, if we really wanted it that quick of a turnaround.
And I know it's a challenge, like when you have construction projects, getting all the subs registered, and that's a.
Well, with the growth we've had, it's something we have to stay on top of constantly, and we're always looking for innovative ways to find folks, new business. The new businesses created with the state is good, but not everybody registers with the state. A lot of people fly low under the radar, and it gets a little bit more challenging trying to find that.
So thanks for that feedback, and I'm glad that was a positive event. So we'll turn now to Phil with the general council updates.
Good morning, gentlemen. It came on our radar here recently that our lease expires at the end of September. It's a 5-year lease. It's been in place since October 1st of 2020. Our lease term, like I said, 5 years with a $2,000 monthly payment. We've had some exploratory communications with our landlord next door, the water company, about extending that. They seem very amenable to that. We've all been, each party's been very happy with this. We like our space here. It suits our purpose. We think it gives us some, certainly avenue for growth if we should need that. Obviously the main issues we'll need to explore, and again, they seem to be amenable to an extension. We'll need to explore what that monthly payment will be and what the term will be. Is it going to be 3 years, 5 years, or maybe even 7 years? So I expect that we'll explore that more here in the coming 30 to 60 days, and then report back to you with what our recommendation might be as to what our meeting of the minds is with the water company about both the payment term and the length of the lease.
We've had some internal discussions. We cannot imagine a more ideal scenario. It's so good for the taxpayers. Lots of parking, centrally located. Everybody knows where the water company is. We've installed the drive up or walk up drop box. I can't imagine us finding a different space and saying, hey, you know what, we need to get out of that water company building. I just don't see that happening, not as long as I'm here, that's for sure, you know, but down the road, things can always change. And like Phil said, you know, Chase and Sean are great to work with, very responsive to our needs, and I think they've actually said they like having us here. So,
I'm positive we can navigate a path forward, so I agree with you, this is a great location, meets the needs of the Revenue Commission and the community.
The water company's not like exploding out of there, are they? I mean, they're not adding a bunch of office space
no.
or anything, are they?
And it's not like we're building inspection and what we downtown, what we have, so that's something else we're looking into, is trying to figure out a way to, hopefully, once we get the city hall done, and then after we do that, and once he gets this building, George and I are having a talk as to, make it to where it's one-stop shopping.
Right.
That we try to put everything in one spot, so you're not going over here for this, going over here for that. If we can just put everybody somewhere and,
Well, the current Justice Center, could be a candidate, second and third floor. First floor we're gonna use for admin for the, detention center, but second and third floor could be renovated for office space. It's just how many square feet can we
yeah.
turn those courtrooms into and such, but, that, I'm very positive that you all can navigate forward staying here. I think it's a great spot.
And with the moves we made to digitizing our processes, all of our paper, getting the paper out of here, getting the file cabinets out of here, we've positioned ourselves here with some room to grow in the space we have. And then when City Hall is done and your folks vacate down there, if we needed to expand for some other reason,
Yeah,
there
we
is some more space down there we could access if, there was a situation that arose, so. And then the EOI was the other thing, Phil?
Yes, as we alluded to in last month's meeting, we had a scheduled conference call on April 29th with Lori Saunders, Executive Director of the Tourism Department. Scott, John, and I participated along with Devin and Emily with the city to discuss ways that we might share information that would best help us, each side, collect our tax revenue. Of course, tourism collects the transit room tax, and we're collecting occupational tax. Certainly with a better sharing of information, we each might maximize or increase our ability to do so. After discussion, we decided that it's probably best to have a formal written, even a short exchange of information agreement. We've already started drafting that, and we're working on the dotting the i's and crossing the t's of that, and I'd expect that we'll be able to forward that over to Lori here in the next several days. So we think that's going to be a beneficial arrangement for all sides and helping us fulfill our respective missions.
I think code enforcement's gonna be involved.
Code enforcement will be involved there to some degree too. That'll help them as well.
Very good then. Any questions on that? Thank you. So we'll go to number 6, the KCGC 13 layers, MSP conversion update and cutover.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to thank you all for adjusting your schedules to accommodate us and work around some of the issues we've been facing with this. I definitely feel like my beard has gotten grayer over the last few weeks, trying to work through some of these issues. We expected there to be challenges. Anytime you're rolling out something new, there's always going to be challenges. It seemed like some of it was I'd almost say self-inflicted in dealing with KCGC and 13 layers. I do want to give them both credit, 13 layers and KCGC. They've both been great as far as trying to work through the issues, making the adjustments that they can on their end as far as the imaging for our devices, being able to reach out to them at the drop of a hat. They're very quick to respond, make whatever adjustments we need. The biggest challenges that we're facing is our current connection with our ISP and the speeds that are available to us. With that, basically some of the issues we're running into is where it's a virtual desktop environment. Anytime we have a connection issue, you lose your screen completely. It goes black. You have a long delay before it comes back up, and then when it does come back up, there's a lot of pixelation and lag between the various apps that you're running. So with that, James with 13 layers was able to work with our current ISP, get us a cable modem, or not a cable modem, a cellular modem installed to support our current connection, slowed our speed way down, but it is more of a stable connection. We're not having as many drops in our virtual desktop environment, but we're still facing a lot of challenges when it comes to the productivity with that. And
I can add, I give you kind of a real world example of that. It normally takes me a couple of hours, to kind of prepare all this data for this meeting, maybe 3 if we've got some extra things put together. But because like you click on something and you have to wait 30 seconds for it to load, it took me 2 days to kind of do what normally would just take me a couple hours. So that's kind of the productivity lag that we're seeing here. And there's good times I can come in the morning and it's like, hey, this is great, it's fixed. But then I come back after lunch and it's dragging again. So that just to kind of put it in end user terms, if you're sitting here and I'm clicking on these things that it's seconds, 1 or 2 seconds they're open, it's a lot longer. That's what we do.
And then in talking with Chris at Madison County, he made it known to us that we were essentially his first run with 13 layers in them trying to set up something at this level. Unfortunately, we were the guinea pigs, and we got to determine where all the bugs were and where all the challenges are. So through this, I'm sure they've come up with some kind of checklist to try and determine what needs to be in place beforehand. Chris did get me set up with a VPN. I was able to log into the system from home on a different internet connection. I was able to use that last night and this morning. No issues at all. Worked like I was.
We just need to get, what's your next topic about
That's it, exactly.
the ISP, and
Yes.
and let me say, like, you know, I'm the one that recommended KCGC 13 layers, and we have had, you know, we've had a very good experience,
Oh, yeah.
and I wish that they had done their due diligence about just confirming the speeds.
Absolutely.
It's just like trying to shove a watermelon through a garden hose. I mean, you all can't run what you're trying to
Right.
run through what your
Yes, sir.
connection. So
Well, and the thing is, you know, Chris has been very accommodating, and we're not paying for any of this, you know, so there will be financial concessions in terms of what our monthly service rates are, because it is such a kind of a cluster at the moment. But they're working with, they understand the mistakes, they're very apologetic for them, and I think in the long run it will be everything.
I think we get through this challenge. I think you'll be happy. Long term, but I'm disappointed that it didn't go smoothly. So we'll learn and move forward. So
Absolutely.
any questions about that or anything else, John?
Yeah, I do feel like it is a great product that they put together. It's just getting past this connection hurdle.
I think long term, it's the way to go, and
Absolutely.
will be the better for it. But versus that.
Another piece of this is that I've added on number 7 here is the disposition of the existing Earthlink contract. We've had Phil do a deep dive into that. John and I also looked at it as well. It's kind of conflicting what our options might be. We've got a year left on our 3-year contract, but when we up the speed, which we're not sure if that renewed it to another 3 years, we hope not. But there may be some kind of payout, which we would probably have to deal with at the mid-year budget adjustment, because it's probably not gonna happen before we get our budget approved. But that has yet to be determined. We're still
Well,
investigating.
We have no choice.
Yeah.
And with that, there is a service level agreement we have with Earthlink that they have not been able to live up to. So, working with James at 13 Layers, we've been recording every instance of drops, outages, latency, any kind of issues we're seeing. Everything's being recorded, so we can go back to Earthlink
So
and
we
say,
have some
this is
data
what
to
we're.
share that, hey,
Absolutely.
You know.
can you all work with us and move forward?
Yes, sir.
Have some
So
concessions.
we'll have more on that to come at future meetings.
Okay.
Do you need, in number 7, a motion to approve y'all moving over to Spectrum?
Yes, we don't have a contract or anything yet. I mean, I think
Can that wait till June?
probably not, because if they come out today and say we're ready to go, we wanna be able to execute on the contract, but we don't have a dollar amount. I know it's gonna be over my limit, which is 2,500, for a 12-month contract with Spectrum. Assuming it's just a 12-month, it may be a 3-year like Earthlink, I'm not sure.
It'll be an extended, I think they'll want you to do them now
Yeah.
in 36 months.
Yes, sir.
So if we had a motion to authorize you to negotiate that contract and move forward with Spectrum.
I think that would be sufficient, and then we can finalize the number next month when you finalize our budget, we should have that all out.
How's that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, we have one, EIA request.
Yes, it looks like there's two, but it's the same taxpayer, 2 different years. This particular taxpayer is requesting abatement of late filing penalties and interest for the net profit tax year 2023. That's the first one. The total there is $155.03. Taxpayer's written narrative states that the reason is because he's not receiving his mail. Well, we've received no return mail from this taxpayer from the post office, so we have no control over USPS delivery, obviously. So, in addition, the burden, by law, the burden of timely filing payments on the taxpayer, and as such, they shouldn't rely on revenue commission delinquent notices, which I think was part of his argument as well. Well, I didn't get your reminders. Well, we didn't get them back from the post office either, so we don't know what's going on. But this does not establish reasonable cause. So our recommendation is to abate it. The total penalties for this year are $104.75, 50.28. Mayor, you get a break. He didn't know any penalties, so there would be no abatement on that if it was approved anyway. County was 9102, school 6401. That's for 2023. The very same taxpayer, same issue, except the total amount is $197.96. Again, nothing for the city. County, total penalty and interest is $115.64, 82.32 for school. That's for net profit tax year 2022. We also recommend we deny this abatement request for both years.
Does the individual have record prior to 2022 of paying?
I think he does.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a long-term, works at a local business here in town. Independent contractor, that's why it's a net profit. So it's a place where he rents a booth space. So yes. I mean, if we had some return mail from the post office where he's not getting his mail.
But you never received any return mail.
And we get a lot of that. We get a lot of
So how
bounce
did he
back.
tell you that he's not getting his mail? I mean, that tells you, y'all had something, he knows he owes it, right?
He finally responded to a notice that he received.
Finally responded to a notice that he received. But he was saying that going back, I mean, if I hadn't been getting my mail since 2022 or 23, I think I'd have been, it'd be a little more
But
proactive.
if you had any return mail, that would be a piece of evidence.
Yeah,
that, hey,
exactly.
maybe
Yeah, there's a delivery issue wherever he lives, if it's an apartment or something, but,
So the staff recommendation is to deny both requests.
yes.
Are there any questions or comments? And would there be a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any other questions or comments?
I'll just always, when there's a denial, I always remind the commissioners that there is a line at the end of any denial that says if there's further information, we're open to review it again. So we always leave that door open for taxpayers.
Appreciate that additional information. I think that's being more than fair as well. And that's what we want to do. So,
Yes.
consistent and fair. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Corson Security System Upgrade Request Approval.
Okay, we talked about this last month. Our existing camera security system is no longer being supported. It's actually apparently a Chinese company that has some security issues, so Corson is no longer working with them. This is the quote on page 2. This went out in the Friday email. The cameras and everything will stay the same. It's just the recorder and being able to review video if there's ever an issue, and we do have outdoor cameras as well as indoor cameras. The quote there is $36.52. That's an all-in number for time and materials to have that scope of work taken care of here, so we can upgrade our security system, physical security system.
And is there an annual cost or a monthly cost?
That's already in our budget. It's $1,200 a year, $100 a month. That's already in the budget. So yeah, that doesn't affect this at all. Same monitoring service. This is just equipment and installation.
Questions or comments?
You need a motion? Motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That goes to general discussion. That's always my favorite part.
Requires no board action. We are still at 11 boxes left in the offsite storage yet to be digitized. Again, our slowness here has not left us a lot of room to work on that. We do have one new project for April, which is pretty exciting. If I can get my computer to work here. There we go. And let's boost that up a little bit. It's called GIVR Technology. It's a KBI project. The average hourly wage is $44 an hour for 24 jobs. That was approved, we received preliminary approval for the Cabinet for Economic Development in April last month. So that's an exciting Scott County job, and a very high-paying job as well. So, again, no action there. I run this report every month to kind of keep you apprised of what's in the pipeline in terms of preliminary and final approvals.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? KJRA, this is our financial inducement project with our largest employer. We're still in the 2-month cap period. April was when we would start that back up. That's when we would, the April payroll, we should have not received anything yet, but I'll probably get it before the end of the month or first part of next month. So with the June meeting, we'll start repaying that financial inducement back to that employer. We're still in the cap period. Next item, I have been invited to speak tonight on centralized collection at the Municipal Government League in Northern Kentucky. I believe the president this year is Mayor Jim Hamburg from City of Southgate. He and I serve together on the KLC board. It's not just me, there are gonna be 2 or 3 other COLA members there as well. I believe it's 5 counties and all the cities in those 5 counties in Northern Kentucky. They wanna hear from us on centralized collection. We beat that back this year, but they're not done. They're already talking, they're gonna talk about it in the summer.
I can tell you 100% that it's not done.
Yes,
So,
so, we'll be speaking some more, I will be, involved in that
I
tonight.
appreciate it, and I would love to, if you could shoot us a little email just saying, hey, this was kind of the, what was shared at that meeting, kind of.
I will, actually, after this meeting, we're gonna jump on a call and finalize the PowerPoint for that. I'll share that with everyone, as well as, any other conversation that happened.
Yeah.
Individual compliance efforts,
Who's the winner?
Tammy.
Tammy.
So,
Tammy stretched it out there.
She did. She killed it by about an extra 10,000. It's all net profit, of course, being April. Most of this. Phil had a respectable $9,000. Michelle, our other tax analyst, 24,000, and Denny, they were neck and neck there, 23 and 24,000. So 90,000 for April overall, a very good month. And again, this is in addition to the normal mail that comes in there. This is just taxpayers who have been non-compliant that we have pursued.
Well, thanks to the staff for their efforts there.
Electronic payment summary. This FYI, about $568,000 came in the month of April. You can see 100% of that is over the web. We had no credit cards or anything swiped here. Because it's April, 91% of it's net profit, only a small amounts withholding. We did have one regulatory fee for the city in there for $200. And as usual, the e-checks are the majority because of the flat fee, although normally they're about 98%. So I think now that we've switched to the KLC Quick Pay, their fees for the credit and debit cards are lower. So I think we may look to see those credit and debit card numbers in terms of a percentage of the total inch up. So just kind of an FYI on the
Thanks for
electronic
that.
payments. A lot of people like to file and pay online. Okay, so here, now we're gonna move to the monthly collection stats. It was a horrible collections month. We're gonna talk about that. Down $2.2 million, which is 25%. You can see the city was down about 997, 913 for the county, and 303 for the school board. That's compared to the same month last year.
Is it a timing?
Not this time. We did not have two Toyota payrolls come in April of 2024. We think it is this disaster declaration extension. There was a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. This is anecdotal, but at COLA, I can tell you a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people are saying they're way down, but what's way up is extension. So I think a lot of people were confused on, do they have to file on time? Do they not have to file on time? Can they wait till November 3rd? Should they go ahead and put in an extension now? It was really poorly done between FEMA, the IRS, what the governor said, what the Department of Revenue said. Everybody was telling a different story, so I think it just caused a lot of confusion.
Could you remind me what that extension period allowed for?
Till November 3rd.
So we'll be wondering about this until November.
Yeah, I think what is gonna happen here,
It's not just a
something
month.
similar happened in COVID. During COVID, they moved the filing deadline from April 15th to July 15th, which took it out of one fiscal year, put it into another fiscal year. So it looks like we were down $2 million for fiscal year 2020, but then when fiscal year 2021 rolled around, we were up $4 or $5 million. So it just took it out of one fiscal year, put it into another fiscal year. We're thinking that's what's gonna happen, which means we're gonna have to bone up for a very probably larger than normal October 15th, and maybe even extend some of it into November. So I'll look at that. We'll go next to the quarterly stats here for you. So again, this was actually the worst month for this entire fiscal year, $2.2 million down from the same period. Of course, with all the three large net profit deposits, we're still $11.4 million over the last fiscal year. So this comparison here of being down 3.7, that's compared to if we didn't have those deposits coming in. If we were just comparing with our collections last year, it would be ugly. But the reality is we have collected $11.4 million more at this time last year than we had this year than we did this time last year, which means the city, we've collected an extra $4.5 million, the school board the county an extra $4.9 million, and the school board an extra $1.9 million more than we had collected at this same time.
So year to year, we're still at a good spot.
Yes, we've collected $4.5 million more for the city right now than we had this time last year, $4.9 million more than we were at this time last year for the county, and $1.9 million more for the school. So still, you're gonna be way up, but as we've talked about, the reason I separate all this out and show this to you is it's kinda like ARPA funds, it's one-time money. We're not gonna have $11 million in net profit deposits every year. It's just not gonna happen. In fact, I think this is the first time it's been of this magnitude in my almost 9 years here. So I just like to keep it in perspective.
It's a one-time.
Infusion of cash.
That's why you can't depend on a lot of people's budget.
Yeah, it's very volatile for
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
The payer is always anonymous. We don't share that.
Gotcha.
Is that the best way to state that?
It's,
By statute?
one of our larger employers.
One of our larger employers.
Understood.
Do the math.
Understood.
Figure that out.
A lot of businesses have losses, some losses year after year after year. This particular employer does have occasionally some net profit deposits, but usually in the past, there has been a large infusion, and then they work off a credit over a period of years, sometimes depending on what the actual net profit. These are, well, the middle one there, the 3.6 million, that's a net profit amendment. That because of an IRS audit. And the IRS required them to amend their returns, which in turn required them to amend their returns with us, which resulted in an extra 3.6 million. The other two are deposits based on estimated net profits they think they're gonna owe. So, but again, that's very volatile year after year.
And some of that could be subject to once they reconcile their books, they might ask for a refund.
Well, and usually with larger companies, we have this with some of our large automobile manufacturers, Louisville Metro as well. When the IRS gets a hold of them, there'll be several years of audits. They call them RAR, Revenue Agent Reports. So there may be more of these to come.
Okay.
Once they get a hold of them and they see a big change like this, they'll audit, go back a couple, 3, 4 more years. So
I appreciate, the data